Baylor went 3-9 this season, which is pretty awful, so I put RG3 on this year's squad, and I'm going to be playing as him in hopes of winning Baylor a national championship. I also went a little OD and surrounded RG3 with 5 NFL stars. As you can see, they are all 99 overalls. Catches, RG3 is not going to be starting off as a 99 overall. Instead, he will start at an 85, and after every game, we will be able to upgrade him according to these rules. If you're wondering what a secondary attribute is, it's basically everything other than the 5 main attributes you see here. Additionally, if we win the Heisman, RG3 will automatically upgrade to a 99 overall with these attributes. And oh yeah, before I forget, we're doing the 12-team playoff as well as the new conferences for next year, at least my variation of it, as you can see here. If you care, these are the settings and sliders I will be playing on. Now let's go ahead and randomize the schedule, and we really don't have any super difficult out of conference opponents, playing home against FAU and then away against both Wake Forest and Rutgers. Even with this stacked offense, we are ranked 42nd at the start of the season. Let's prove the haters wrong as we head into the first game of the year. And we start this one off up 10, running the flea flicker to perfection. That's a Tyreek Hill touchdown. We kept the pressure on, hitting Taylor Swift's boyfriend for a touchdown, putting us up 24-0 before the first half even ended. Ultimately, we won 37-13, and the only upgrade we got was +2 to our carrying. So let's hop right into the next game against Wake Forest. We should have known this wasn't going to go our way when we saw it was pouring rain, because these 2 interceptions we threw had us down 24-3 with under 90 seconds left in the first half. We knew we had to start going to our stars, so we made our way downfield, hitting Justin Jefferson and then Travis Kelce in the end zone, shaving their lead down to 14 before the break. Unfortunately, I threw 2 more atrocious interceptions in the second half, which didn't help our cause in the slightest. And even though we outscored them in the second half, it wasn't enough as we took our first loss of the season. Even though we took an L, RG3 improved 2 overalls before this next game against Rutgers. We threw an early interception in this one, so we fast forward to the end of the first half where RG3 hits Travis Kelce for a touchdown, putting us up 7-6. And from there, we were able to score pretty easily as we take this one to the house from their own 35, taking a 24-6 lead. Just when they got it to a 1-possession game, we hit them with another big scoring play, this time from Justin Jefferson, and that was enough to get us our second win of the season. We didn't get much of an upgrade after this game, so we remain at an 87 overall, heading into our first conference game of the season. And RG3 was going to start conference play off hot as he threw for over 350 yards in this one, while also scoring 5 total touchdowns himself, leading this Baylor team to a 45-31 victory over West Virginia. This performance won RG3 NCAA Player of the Week as well as Big 12 Player of the Week. So after just one game, we were able to upgrade him from an 87 to a 91 overall. The next few games were more of the same as we dominated UCF on their home turf, throwing for over 300 yards and putting up 5 total touchdowns. That was enough to get RG3 his second straight NCAA and Big 12 Player of the Week, making him a 94 overall as we head into this game against Iowa State, where RG3 would start the game off with a Heisman caliber play, taking this rush all the way to the house. And even though we trailed early, we made sure to find our playmakers like Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill. Doing so allowed us to take a 3-possession lead at one point, which was enough to put these guys out. RG3's running game got him some decent upgrades, but he was still a 94 overall going into this game against Kansas, where we took yet another double-digit win behind a Big 12 Player of the Week performance from yours truly. This got RG3 up to a 96 overall, which was nice, but even though we were 6-1 and playing good, the committee did not want to put us in the top 25 polls. Whatever, that's fine. We would keep showing that we are a top 25 caliber team with another Big 12 conference win over Houston. This touchdown run from RG3 was enough to put the Cougars out as we moved to 7-1, and we would win our 4th Big 12 Conference Player of the Week, making RG3 a 98 overall. At this point, it just didn't look like we were going to lose again, and we didn't, as we beat Cincinnati by 10 behind RG3's 4 passing touchdowns. Then we blew out Texas Tech 45-14. We put up 5 touchdowns in that one. And lastly, we cooked Oklahoma State at their place, again putting up 5 touchdowns. That performance against Oklahoma State got RG3 NCAA and Big 12 Player of the Week again, making him a 99 overall. And it also put us in the top 25 for the first time all season. But now we were heading into our most important game yet, the battle for the Big 12 East Division, as we have to travel to 3rd-ranked TCU, and if we lose, we won't be going to the Big 12 Championship or the College Football Playoff. So the boys knew how important this game was as we struck first with a Richard Reese touchdown, and when they immediately responded, we hit them right back, going downfield through the air and capping off this drive with a rushing touchdown from RG3. But yet again, they were able to respond, so this game was knotted up at 14 going into the second half. Our first drive of the half would end in a field goal, allowing us to take the lead once again, and when they weren't able to respond, we knew this was our chance to pull away. A big reception here from Justin Jefferson would put us into a great position to run in another touchdown, putting us up 10 points now. Although we didn't hold that lead for long as they cut it to just 3, but fortunately time was on our side and we just had to waste it. But we did a lot more than that here as we got Richard Reese his third touchdown of the game, and that ended up being the nail in the coffin as we took a 31-21 win, securing our spot in the Big 12 championship where we will play the second-ranked Utah Utes. These were the upgrades RG3 got in that game, and now we move on to our biggest game yet. This 37-yard reception from Travis Kelce got the boys extra hyped to start this game. We capped off that drive with a rushing touchdown from Rich Reese, and after our defense forced the turnover, we were able to take a 2-touchdown lead with this rush from RG3. From there on out, it was just super easy for us. Our defense did their thing and we did our thing on offense, finding the NFL stars we illegally signed wide open all over the place, and then running in another one with Rich Reese before the half ended. With a 21-point lead at the half and their offense being completely in shambles, we didn't have to do much in the final 2 quarters to come away with the Big 12 championship. And our hopes at a national title were getting larger and larger as that win got us a spot in the 12-team playoff. Before we do our little selection show, it's important to note that we did win the Heisman with RG3, so he is now completely maxed out. Okay, now it's time to set the 12-team playoff, and there were a lot of upsets in conference championship week, so this is not going to be an easy task. First things first, the 4 major conference winners all get an automatic bid, as well as the best conference champion out of all of the other conferences. In this case, it would be Boise State. But now we have to figure out the 7 remaining teams, and this is where it got sort of tricky. I felt Georgia, Clemson, UNC, Michigan, and USC were all worthy of a spot in the playoffs since none of them have more than 2 losses after playing in the toughest conferences in the nation. And then even though Texas had 3 losses, their win against the SEC champions early in the season got them a spot. So now there was just 1 spot left, and it was going to go to one of these 3 Big 12 schools. The Utes lost to Kansas State earlier in the season, and their poor performance in the Big 12 championship game booted them out of the picture. TCU really didn't have a statement win all season, while Kansas State knocked off the Big 12 runner-up, and solely because of that, I went with Kansas State over TCU for the final spot. This is how I seeded all 12 teams, and as you can see, we grabbed the 4 seed, which means we get a first round bye. That's super nice. Now let's simulate the first round games. Okay, we had a few upsets, the biggest one being Maryland beating Michigan State, although I'm not really surprised. What I'm really surprised about is Kansas State beating Michigan. Way to represent the Big 12, Kansas State. Anyways, UNC took care of Boise State, so we will be facing them in the Cotton Bowl, and this was easily our biggest game yet. So it was unfortunate to start the game off down 10 after throwing 2 straight interceptions, but we would finally get on the board here with a Travis Kelce touchdown reception. They would answer with another touchdown, so we found ourselves down 10 yet again. That's when a big reception from Justin Jefferson got us into the perfect spot to find Travis Kelce yet again in the end zone. They kept up the pressure though, scoring yet again, but we had no problem keeping up as RG3 hit Justin Jefferson for his 3rd passing touchdown of the game. Finally, our defense got a stop, so we had a chance to take the lead. This reception from Tyreek Hill set up an easy rushing touchdown for RG3, and our crowd was happy to see us with the lead for the first time all game. Unfortunately, that was short-lived as they scored a touchdown before the half ended, so we had just 9 seconds to work with, and we actually somehow came up with a touchdown, finding Tyreek Hill here, putting us up 35-31 at the half. The second half was more of a defensive battle, although Tyreek Hill did burn their secondary here, increasing our lead to 8 for the time being. UNC would go on to score a few field goals, so it was a 2-point game going into the final quarter, and we knew we just need 1 more touchdown to put these guys away. This reception from Jackson Jr. got us into a great spot to run in our 7th touchdown of the game, but more importantly, that touchdown sealed the deal, getting us our first playoff win as we move on to the semis. In the other games, Georgia embarrassed Kansas State, Ole Miss got their revenge on Texas, and then Maryland beat Clemson in their 3rd meeting of the season. So now we have to face the number 1 overall seed for a shot at the national title, and this was hands down the biggest game of the season so far. To start the game, we went to RG3's legs to get us downfield, but we found ourselves on 4th and goal on the 3-yard line. So we went for it and got held up, unfortunately. They were super hype about it, but we got momentum on our our side with this reception from Justin Jefferson. That allowed us to find Tyreek Hill in the end zone here, and we struck first. Things were looking real good for us when we hit Jackson Jr. across the middle here, which set up this easy passing touchdown to Travis Kelce, putting us up 7 once again. But these 3 interceptions in the red zone, yeah, that's right, 3, left the door wide open for Ole Miss to take their first lead of the game late in the 4th. So when in doubt, you go Madden 05 Michael Vick style and run out of the pocket for a big first down. But their defense really tightened up after that play, and we really should have thrown an interception on one of these passes. Anyways, we now find ourselves on a crucial 4th and 10 play where we run the cheesiest route in the game, hitting Tyreek Hill on the corner strike. And the dweebs up in the booth tried to overturn this, but he was clearly in bounds. So a new set of downs allowed us to hit Baldwin here, getting us inside the 10-yard line. And with time running down on the clock, I went full cheese mode, immediately running out of the pocket, heading for that goal line, and just like that, we took the lead super late in this game. Our defense went out and sacked them on the last play of the game, allowing us to take home the Fiesta Bowl. But most importantly, we have solidified our spot in the national title game, as on the other side of the bracket, Maryland's hopes of making a late comeback died on this play, and Georgia would be the ones to move on to face us in the Natty. And let me tell you guys, this was easily our most important game of the season yet, and it started off super well for us as a turnover forced by our defense allowed us to take an early 10-0 lead right here. They would end up getting on the board eventually though, so now on offense we look to respond, going for a big rush here with RG3, then throwing a wild pass off his back foot, somehow finding Justin Jefferson. Unfortunately though, this drive ended in just a field goal after getting held on 3rd down, and they responded with a field goal of their own, so this one was just a 3-point game at the break. Georgia easily scored a touchdown at the start of the half, and although they forced us to punt on our first offensive possession, our defense came up with an interception, so we were in a great spot to take the lead back. And that is exactly what we did as we hit Travis Kelce on 2 big receptions, getting us into the end zone fairly easily. The boys were hyped as we had the lead going into the final quarter, and with the ball we were looking to strike again. These 2 receptions from Monterey Baldwin got us inside the 10-yard line super quickly. That allowed us to easily run in this touchdown, putting us up 2 possessions with under 4 minutes left. And surprisingly, they actually punted to us despite being down 10 with very little time remaining. That made it easy for us to waste most of the clock down, and Carson Beck's interception here put an end to this national championship game as we complete this challenge with RG3 very easily, I might add. And all I learned from this is that I need to find harder sliders for this game.